Welcome to another SPR Productions video. The new Indian transportation model is a vision for an urban mobility system that is sustainable, scalable, and inclusive. In this video, we analyze current transportation trends and problems, and then we present short and long-term solutions. As we discuss this, I'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions in the comments section, and we'll talk about them in a future video. The former mayor of Bogotá, Colombia, Enrique Peñalosa, once said,
"An advanced city is not one where even the poor use cars, but rather one where even the rich use public transport."
Here's a chart of how Indians commute in our cities. The largest percentage of people walk. This is followed by cyclists. In fact, over 50% of us commute using non-motorized transport. This is surprising, since the road space dedicated to pedestrian sidewalks or protected cycle paths is almost non-existent. When it comes to motorized transport, scooters and motorcycles lead, followed by buses. Private cars only make up 4% of journeys, along with another 4% for taxis and rickshaws. 5% of commuters use trains, which is understandable since most cities are just starting to introduce mass transit systems. Car ownership in India is on the rise. In the last decade alone, the number of cars on the road has tripled. The car conjures up images of the open road, beautiful scenery, and the wind in your hair. It's synonymous with high status, freedom, and independence. However, the reality of driving a car is more like this. Long commutes, traffic congestion, road rage, air pollution are just a few of the problems we face every day.
The city's highest court recently said that living in Delhi was like living in a gas chamber.
Despite this, the number of cars in India is forecast to grow by 775% by 2040. That means for every car on the road today, 7 will be competing for the same limited space. This suggests that a lot of people are about to switch to private transportation, which would be devastating to our already strained infrastructure. For years, we have pushed for better roads, and the governments have responded by adding lanes, building flyovers, and new expressways. However, the traffic has only gotten worse. In 2008, the average Delhi commuter had a one-way commute time of around 43 minutes, while in Mumbai, it was 47 minutes. This averages out to around 8 hours 46 minutes per week. In 2015, that weekly average was up to 12.5 hours. Longer commute times negatively affect economic productivity, social engagement, family relations, as well as personal health. The fact is that Indian cities, which were founded long before mainstream adoption of the automobile, simply lack the available urban land area to create the wide streets, massive parking lots, and controlled access highways needed to handle such growth. Even international cities like Los Angeles and Dubai, which have invested heavily in car-based infrastructure, still have persistent traffic problems. This is why we need a fundamental shift in the way we think about urban design in India. We need to focus on moving people instead of moving cars. So how will the new Indian transportation model help us avert the carpocalypse? The basic criteria any metro needs to meet are consistent reliability, safety, cleanliness, and punctuality. The modern Delhi Metro, with 213 kilometers of track, 160 stations, and a direct airport link, is a good blueprint for other cities to follow. And they are following. Here in green are cities where metros are already operational. Cities in yellow have metros under construction, and blue cities have projects in various development stages. The success of a metro depends on a commuter's ability to access a station near home and near work. This is known as first and last mile connectivity. Since a majority of us don't own cars and use non-motorized transport, pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure should be our top priority. Let's visit 3 cities around the world and see how they encourage non-motorized travel. To enhance walkability, the Spanish city of Barcelona created superblocks.
You take 9 square city blocks and you close off the inside to through traffic, so any vehicles that are trying to get from one part of town to the next have to drive around the perimeter. Inside the superblock, you wind up with street space for markets and outdoor games and events.
In Indian cities, superblocks can be created by identifying areas where a car has more than one path to reach a destination. The American city of Chicago created a network of roads underneath the central business district to carry car and large vehicle traffic while enhancing the city's appearance and walkability. Chicago's famous Millennium Park, home to the Bean, was built above existing and still operational parking lots and railway tracks.
The former mayor of Chicago, Richard Daley, he looked down from his dentist's office in this high-rise building and he said, that's really ugly. We should have a park there.
Shifting roads underground and building over railway lines reclaims space for people. Amsterdam in the Netherlands is a world leader in bicycle infrastructure, and many of their ideas can be incorporated in India. Here are a few. Giving cycle tracks a uniform color that's different from the road surface cars drive on. Placing protective medians between cycles and car traffic. And designing junctions which allow cars, bicycles, and pedestrians to all cross safely. These ideas we just described involve repurposing land, which avoids the complex and expensive process of land acquisition. So, how are we going to pay for all this? Raising passenger fares has always been unpopular, so historically the freight transportation profits have subsidized passenger travel. This practice meant there was very little left over to expand freight capacity, and the railways lost market share to the roads. Now the railways are looking to boost non-fare revenue. The Indian Railways control prime real estate across the nation, and they plan to lease it to private developers who can transform the space into iconic multi-purpose destinations.
नीचे ट्रेन चलती रहे, ऊपर 5-star 7-star होटल बना दो, उसमें से इनकम करो और रेलवे को अच्छी करो.
Here are some of the proposed designs for the railway stations. Now that's how you make rail sexy. On the cost side, renewable energy to power the network will cut electricity costs, while network electrification will reduce their fossil fuel bill. Another method of raising revenue for public transit development is to end invisible subsidies, which only benefit car owners at the expense of everyone else. Subsidy number 1, parking. Very rarely do cars and trucks pay for parking on city streets, even though they occupy space that pedestrians and cyclists need. Paid parking zones, strict rules, and better enforcement can end this subsidy. Subsidy 2, congestion. In areas with limited space, congestion charges, like the one implemented in London, can ensure car owners pay for using the scarce space in city centres. Time-based tolling, which increases toll rates during peak traffic periods, increase the cost of driving when demand is high. The third subsidy is cars' environmental impact. Pollution costs the nation between 3 to 8% of our GDP due to serious health consequences. A carbon tax based on mileage and fuel efficiency will ensure those that cause pollution pay for it. These short-term solutions will get the ball rolling in the right direction, but what's next? What will the sustainable, scalable, and inclusive transit network of the future look like? In India, we've made it a habit of leapfrogging. Many of us skipped landlines and went straight to smartphones, skipped traditional physical banking and went straight to e-wallets like Paytm and FreeCharge, skipped over a basic photo ID to having a biometric Aadhaar with fingerprints and iris scans. This means it's not irrational to think that many of us will leapfrog the traditional model of car ownership and driver licensing and jump straight to ITM's connected, autonomous, shared, electric mobility system. We can shorten that to CASE. Implementing CASE as part of the ITM will fulfill our people's aspirations of not only having a car, but having a car and driver available 24/7. It'll be as simple as opening an app, entering a destination, and boarding your autonomous vehicle. An encrypted, blockchain-based transit network will then calculate the most efficient route and communicate with the surrounding vehicles, while you play games, watch TV episodes, or catch up on emails. Let's talk about the tech. Fully autonomous vehicles which carry passengers from A to B with no driver input already exist.
Look, Mom, no hands. No hands.
However, in order to achieve the full benefits of autonomous mobility, the use of human-controlled transport has to be restricted in the areas where autonomous vehicles operate. This is because every 4 minutes, an Indian is killed on our roads, for a total of 140,000 deaths annually. Studies suggest that human error is responsible for over 90% of all accidents. This means that eliminating unpredictable human drivers and ensuring pedestrian and cyclist separation will massively reduce the number of lives lost on our roads. Human-controlled transport is also responsible for most of the traffic congestion we encounter due to our slow reaction times and inability to coordinate effectively with other vehicles. This is compounded by distracted, drowsy, and drunk driving.
Getting only 4 to 5 hours of sleep in a night is the same as driving while legally drunk.
It is human nature to feel safer when we are in control. However, a system where cars communicate their position, speed, and direction with other vehicles at the speed of light is much safer than our crude system of meaningless horns, frequently ignored road signs and traffic lights, and rarely used turn indicators and rearview mirrors. On highways, for example, high-speed convoys will be formed. They will be like a train, where each carriage can separate to take passengers to their final destination. In fact, ITM vehicles will coordinate so efficiently that higher throughputs can be achieved using less land. Smartphone apps like Ola and Uber already allow you to choose vehicles of different sizes and comfort levels depending on your needs, while their algorithms coordinate pickups, drop-offs, and carpooling along with invisible payments. ITM will be powered by a similar system along with additional features for multi-point travel, long-term use, and tourism. With over 300 million smartphone users, the people already have the tools they need to adopt ITM.
We are introducing electric vehicles in a very big way. And the idea is that by 2030, not a single petrol or diesel car should be sold in the country.
A fleet of electric vehicles powered by clean, renewable energy sources is the ultimate goal for sustainable mobility. EVs will also reduce our dependence on imported hydrocarbons. Additionally, ITM vehicles won't run out of battery power during rides, since the autonomous system can remove them from service and send them straight to chargers if their range drops too low. It would be impractical for the whole nation to transform into a giant ITM zone overnight. Existing cities will transition in phases, with the conversion of specific zones and corridors that are gradually expanded over time. Smaller towns will find it easier to implement ITM than the large metros, while greenfield cities like Dholera, Naya Raipur, and Andhra Pradesh's new capital city, Amravati, will have the opportunity to incorporate ITM right from the start. The simultaneous existence of ITM and non-ITM zones will require transitioning between the two. Park and ride lots, car sharing, car rental, trains, planes, boats, or even the Hyperloop are all ways commuters can transition between different ITM zones or between ITM and non-ITM areas. Another important part of the transition to ITM are hybrid vehicles. Now, I'm not talking about a car that has an electric motor and a gasoline engine. I mean a self-driving car that meets all of the ITM standards and can operate autonomously inside ITM zones, but also has a manual override that allows the human driver to take over once they exit the controlled area. For the residents of an ITM city, case mobility will be another basic utility, like water pipes, electricity cables, and cellular towers. It'll be as routine as using an elevator. As ITM spreads across our cities, actually driving will become a leisure activity restricted to specific scenic routes and racetracks. This way we will still be able to enjoy everything we love about driving, with none of the drawbacks. So to sum up, we discussed the current state of Indian transportation and introduced the new Indian transportation model that combines people-centric urban design with connected, autonomous, shared, electric mobility. I'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions in the comments section, and we will discuss them in a future video. Thank you for watching this SBR Productions video. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to our channel for more videos.